means party, hanging with friends.
It is the day where the nation comes together and is proud of being who they are.
I don't really care that much about the National Day, to be honest. It is a nice day.
Like any ritual, this is a public ritual. It's a secular ritual, but definitely with a religious tinge. And nationalism, of course, is the nation worshipping itself in one guise or the other. And the 17th of May tells us something about ourselves. It tells us, not necessarily about ourselves, but who we'd like to be. With the military parades, for instance, showing the missiles and the destructive capabilities. What we put on display here is the quite opposite of our destructive potentials. That's why this plays into some very specific notions about Norwegianness in Norwegian minds. That is about Norwegianness, the peacefulness, the openness to everybody, and the potential for everybody to become whatever they like. 17th of May is the ultimate equalizer in a sense. We're the benevolent powers, you know. We work more by cunning than by force. Public drunkenness is part and parcel of any Norwegian celebration, be it religious or secular. Students who are about to leave the compulsory school system, the way they celebrate is something they've been trained to look forward to since they were in 6th and 7th grade. It fuels the more general openness for public drunkenness in these days. There's a divide here between those who are free to do so, which means that they don't have children, and those who are definitely not free to do so, and it's frowned upon to have drunken parents together with their children on the 17th of May. The flag waving and the massive display of red, white and blue would be something that if I were to come to Norway for the first time and witness the 17th of May ritual, would be quite intrigued by, and also maybe, puzzled by.
I think that if you've been to France on the 14th of July, you will see a lot of French flags, but you won't see a lot of French people waving the flag. It's not that common. The majority of people won't be. People are uncomfortable. With nationalism, yes, I think.
Ironically, in Oslo in particular, the 17th of May committee, those who went for or suggested that there should be a prohibition against carrying other nations' flag in the 17th of May parades were not the ethnic Norwegians, but the members from other ethnic communities, such as the Pakistan Norwegians, for instance, and the Iranian Norwegians. They were adamantly against the inclusion of other national flags in the parade. It's, of course, the ultimate display of Norwegianness. And they are everything they seem to be. They are hot and they are uncomfortable and they are extremely delicate. What I find interesting as an anthropologist is the way that people talk about the way they are made. Of course, in many cases they are inherited 3 or 4 generations, and that creates an aura. It's a part of the fetishism.
But I see you're wearing bunad.
Yeah, but I think it looks nice. It's a tradition, but I don't really care that much.
The same goes on with new bunads as well, because there's been a major debate now whether it's appropriate to have bunads stitched in Asia, for instance, Thailand, Vietnam and China. Surprisingly many, I'd say, will refuse that that's a real bunad, even though the stitching is perfectly done. So there's something about the way that Norwegian toil is a different kind of work than that which just generally mass-produced, or the notion of being mass-produced, and it's love involved. That doesn't really speak well on how we think about when it comes to how we think about ourselves and the way that that Norwegian exceptionalism is really worth taking care of.
It's like
reenactment in a way, isn't it? Of something that never actually happened. It's the idea of something that was never really there.
I think quite a lot of people look to Norway as being so small, and as a result the patriotism is not as dangerous as it might have been if you've had a similar celebration from a big country. The message of celebrating ourselves as well as ideals that are inclusive should not necessarily alienate on such a day.
The fact that we celebrate the Constitution as our national day rather than the dissolution of the Union with Sweden is in some ways endearing, I'd say. It's not deliberate, but it shows something of the trust and reliance Norwegians have in laws and the rule of law and the way that regulations are good for you.
I don't really think about the day as much of a celebration of Norway anyway. Just think of it as a day everyone has breakfast together and starts drinking very early.